What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wrestling Time channel. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button as well as the notification bell for more videos like this. Now, as we mentioned in countless other videos, it was strange to see developers Visual Concepts and publishers 2K keep the majority of information regarding their newest entry into the 2K series on lockdown. However, with just days to go until the final release on 22nd October, a plethora of information about the game, including footage, has been released worldwide by the wrestling gaming community. However, this might have been the game's downfall, as fans who have pre-ordered the game might have backed out at the last minute after seeing various footage of what can only be seen as a downgrade from its previous entry. Whilst it's understandable that the developers were working with a strict deadline and had to start from scratch in most cases, taking over from Ukes, who were the previous developers, it might not be a good enough excuse to those who are looking for more out of a game that some are just calling WWE 2K20 with a new name. Now, in all honesty, labeling it that may be not fair, as Visual Concepts have made several improvements to match types, including Hell in a Cell, by finally adding a weapon wheel and concentrating on the fantasy aspect with 2K Originals. However, the majority of fans aren't looking at the list of additional features, but instead are criticizing the game's graphics, which we may have to agree look like a significant downgrade from last year, or even games from previous years. Some fans have pointed out that this year's game lacks any effort being put into the character models. User Super Misfit 40419 posted a scathing comment on the WWE Games Reddit page, calling out Visual Concepts for making 2K20 the worst in recent time. He mentioned, "No 98 Kane, no modern Sting, they reworked the button layout and made gameplay awkward and frustrating. Barely any additions in Creation Suite, and they even removed Creator Championship. Graphics, lighting and hair physics have declined astonishingly far, which is amazing when you look at how nice 2K19 looked. How the f does this actually get released? Don't waste your money or time. Buy other games, please." Now, it's funny how we started off with 1998's version of Kane not being included as a starting point for the rant, but do you agree with his points? Also, Reddit user Heisenberg also posted a number of models in the game that in his words look like the worst faces in history of WWE games. Now, in particular, one of the worst models in the game should be Molly Holly, as she resembles more Rosie O'Donnell than Mighty Molly. But the worst, however, seems to be the cutscenes in the My Career mode, which are by far the worst we've seen in a game since Renee Young's model in 2K16. When the memes come flooding in like, "This looks like a PS2 game," you can't help but think the game was severely rushed, as there's a sizable difference between those who are face scanned and those that weren't. Also, something of lesser detail but still worth noting are the hair physics in the game. Now, hair physics have never been spot on in previous games, but when you look at Bianca Belair's entrance, when she tosses her hair around, the physics look awful, especially when it seems so much smoother in 2K19. Also, fans noticed in the gameplay trailer that Charlotte's hair defies gravity when she locked in the figure 8 submission, and at many points throughout gameplay, hair is still glitching through bodies. Many might not care, but this is something that clearly has taken a step back and affects the overall realism, something that should be bettered in newer entries of the game. Now, whilst this has got nothing to do with graphics, Visual Concepts have also strangely decided to change a control scheme that has been present since WWE 2K16, forcing fans to relearn what they're used to, most notably switching the reversal button from the trigger to the Y button or triangle button if you're playing on the PS4. YouTuber Smack Talks also brought up the issue when playing the game, asking if the option of reverting back to the old control scheme could be implemented. He tweeted, "Personally, I found the new controls quite difficult to get used to, therefore I'd like to see a control scheme option included to allow players to switch back or customize the buttons to their liking." Now, this could all be a matter of opinion, as Chris Denker, aka Denkops, was a little more positive on the new layout, saying it was easy to grasp at the beginning, but can understand it would be a hindrance to returning players. Whilst this is a problem for the time being, it can be eventually overlooked, as players can gradually get used to the controls. After all, a game has to evolve, but it's still baffling why they changed it in the first place. Perhaps it was changed to make the game feel newer and to try and cover up the overall lack of new features the game has to offer. After all, there's no new additions to Universe Mode or the Creation Suite, two of the game's biggest features. Another issue brought up was the overall polish of the game, as Chris Denker, who has played the game, explained in a recent video that the gameplay is a step down. Hit detection can be way off at times, and this really affects the game in a big way. Now, small improvements could be made before release, and patches can be released after, but as a game gets higher in price every year, fans who shell out more than $70 for the base game would obviously want a more polished product. Now, we're not hating on the game, we're just telling you our opinion, something which no doubt many people will feel differently about. Let us know your opinions in the comments down below. What do you guys think of the character models? Are the graphics really as bad as a PS2 game? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.